What type of reforms were implemented during Perestroika? Imagine a vast nation struggling to adapt to changing times. This was the Soviet Union in the mid-1980s. Mikhail Gorbachev introduced Perestroika, which means restructuring. This initiative aimed to revitalize the socialist system by making it more efficient and responsive to economic challenges. The reforms focused on decentralizing control and introducing self-management within the existing framework. One major change was loosening the centralized control over state enterprises. These enterprises received more autonomy to decide production levels based on what consumers wanted. They could also manage their operations, including hiring and sourcing materials. Another significant reform was the shift towards self-financing. Enterprises had to cover their expenses through their revenues instead of relying solely on state subsidies. This change meant that control moved from central ministries to elected workers' collectives, allowing for some internal democracy within enterprises. However, the state still owned the means of production, and price controls largely remained in place. Perestroika also allowed for the emergence of limited cooperative businesses. This was a first for the Soviet economy, introducing a form of private enterprise. Restrictions on foreign trade were eased, encouraging Western investment. This aimed to bring in new technology and capital, helping to modernize the economy. On the political side, Gorbachev sought to democratize the Soviet political system. In 1980, the first relatively free election since 1917 took place. This allowed previously marginalized voices, including former dissidents, to participate in governance. This political openness was closely linked to the economic restructuring efforts. Despite these reforms, Perestroika did not create a full market economy. State ownership and central planning principles remained dominant. The reforms were partial, leading to contradictions. Enterprises had more autonomy, yet they still faced price controls and state-imposed targets. This partial approach contributed to economic disruptions, shortages, and inflation, challenging the stability of the Soviet system. From a communist perspective, Perestroika represented an attempt to adapt socialism to new realities. It aimed to improve efficiency and responsiveness without abandoning socialist principles. The goal was to preserve the core of socialist ownership and planning while introducing flexibility and openness. However, the incomplete nature of the reforms and pressures from global economic competition exposed tensions within the Soviet model.